Hi, I'm Mark Zhang. I'm one of the CMOs and co-founder of Cake.
I'm Sulin Chen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cake. And what we're doing is making it much easier for people to do advanced care and end-of-life planning.
What we found and why we think Cake is such a innovation in this field is that most people don't even know how to begin to think about what they would want if something were to happen or if they were approaching end of life. And it's not their fault. It's such a difficult subject to begin with. And what we're trying to do with Cake is really make it the easiest place to begin the conversation and make sure that it's documented in an important way.
Yeah. I mean, what's so crazy about it is that this topic of death and end of life is so universal, but we have such a hard time talking about it because it is really hard. I came at this from a healthcare background. I used to advise life science and healthcare companies and just saw what a huge problem it is globally, actually. Just people have such a hard time talking about it, and it leads to all sorts of negative consequences, which Mark sees in his clinical practice.
And I'm a palliative care doctor by training, so I see this day in and day out. And I think part of the reason why I became a palliative care physician was to address this, but there just aren't enough of us. So why we came up with Cake is to try and figure out a solution that could help the 99% that don't ever even think about this.
Yeah, and so when I heard about the MIT Hacking Medicine's Grand Hack, I thought it sounded interesting. I didn't really have lots of expectations, except I did come in with a general area that I really wanted to find other people who were similarly passionate about making end-of-life care better.
And I came into Grand Hack knowing I wanted to do some innovation in advanced care planning and palliative care because that's where I trained. And part of the reason why I came to Boston was for a fellowship in palliative care at Mass General and Dana-Farber. And before that, I was an internal medicine doctor, and I always knew that I wanted to leverage technology to improve clinical care. So going to Grand Hack and innovating in palliative care was a no-brainer for me. And I'm so happy that I met Sulin at Grand Hack because we really came up with the core concept that still is the driving force of Cake, which is that people don't talk about advanced care planning and end of life because it's a hard subject. And what we want to do is we want to make it easier and lower the barrier.
And our insight is that it doesn't have to be so hard. So if you just slightly shift the conversation and make it more about values around what makes life worth living and what's important to you, people find that very empowering. It doesn't have to be so terrifying and scary. And I'm just so grateful for the hackathon to have existed because I don't know that Mark and I would have met otherwise, even though we share such a similar passion. So it was just really great to be able to make these types of connections.
That's right, and I think that that's one of the strengths of hackathons. And I've actually, the other thing I do now is I'm actually a clinical informatics and innovation fellow at the Brigham and Women's Hospital. And people come up to me, my colleagues come up to me and ask, how do I get into making a difference in medicine using technology? How do I innovate? And I tell them that hackathons are a great place to meet people. That can get their ideas that my colleagues might have into an actual product. And I think advice for people that want to go into a hackathon is come in with an open mind. I think the value of going to hackathons is meeting the different people in various specialties and fields that you might not otherwise interface with.
Yeah, and I think the process of us kind of going back and forth and brainstorming really helped us, form a really great basis for how we wanted to move our company forward. And that ideation process, you can't really rush it, but I really think that the hackathon provided a structure for us to, think about these topics with a diverse group of people, and then really hone in on a topic that had a lot of potential.
That's right. And since the hackathon, our group, which me and Sulin led, we won the Grand Hack. We were first place in primary care and also patient Shark Tank. And since then, we moved forward with the concepts that we came up with at Grand Hack. And our company were finalists at Mass Challenge. And since Mass Challenge, we've actually become selected as one of 2 startups that are the inaugural startups inside Liberty Mutual's accelerator Solaria.
And we bootstrapped our way to 2,000 users with zero marketing dollars spent, and just kind of making it happen and making it work. And clearly, though, we've hit on something big, and so now we're going to be looking for seed funding to really build out our product, which we know we can make amazing and really help a lot of people.
That's right. And I think, again, this all traces back to Grand Hack. And for that, I'm super grateful.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn more about what we're doing, we're at www.joincake.com.